Does the thread remember the hand that pulls it? Does the shuttle, flying back and forth, recall the pattern it helps create? Sometimes, sitting here beneath the house, the rhythmic click-clack of my old wooden loom is the only answer I have. It speaks of patience, of turning single strands into something whole, something beautiful, something that endures. My name is Som, though everyone calls me Yai Som now, Grandmother Som. 73 years have spun themselves out, much like the vibrant silks I weave, some threads bright with joy, others dark with sorrow, but all part of the finished cloth. Here in this traditional house on stilts, nestled in a quiet community just beyond the frantic pulse of Bangkok, my life found its pattern long ago. My hands, small and wiry, know the feel of raw silk like they know the lines etched onto my own palms. They are not the swift hands of my youth, slowed now by the ache in my joints, but they still remember the dance. Weaving for Mai, the intricate traditional silks, has been my life's work, my solace, my means of survival since my husband passed away when our son was just a boy. Those silks raised my son, and later helped raise his son, my grandson Arun. I poured everything I earned, every carefully saved baht hidden away in an old lacquered silk box, into Arun's future, his education, his wedding. All I hoped for in return was a peaceful old age, the quiet hum of family life around me, the laughter of great-grandchildren echoing under the floorboards where I worked. And for a time, it seemed my hopes had woven themselves into reality. Arun married Pim, a girl who seemed bright enough at first. Then came Mali, my sweet little granddaughter, followed by Chachai, her boisterous younger brother. They became the warp threads of my later years, the steady lines around which the rest of my life was woven. Their small hands would often find mine as I worked, their faces peering up at me, asking for stories or a piece of sweet kanam. Their laughter was the brightest colour in my tapestry. Arun works hard in the city, driving a delivery truck, his face often etched with a weariness that reminds me too much of his father. He tries, my Arun, but life pulls him taut, like a thread stretched too thin. And Pim lives in a different world. A world that exists primarily through the small, glowing screen of her smartphone. She is young, perhaps 30, and meticulously styled according to the latest online trends. Her skin noticeably lighter than nature intended. Her makeup precise, her clothes fashionable but often flimsy, arriving in packages almost daily. Her dream, she proclaims loudly, is to be an influencer, a star in the digital sky. While she chases that fleeting light, the threads of our home life fray. Dust gathers in corners, meals are often forgotten unless I step in, and the children gravitate towards the steady rhythm of my loom, towards the quiet presence beneath the house. They seek the warmth Pim reserves for her online audience. I watch her sometimes, posing and pouting for selfies, her voice changing into an unnaturally high-pitched stream of Thai mixed with trendy English phrases for her followers. It's a performance, and one that leaves little room for the mundane reality of spilled rice or a child's scraped knee. My worry started as a single, barely visible thread. A quiet disquiet about Pim's spending, about her dismissive tone towards the traditions I hold dear, about the way Arun seemed to shrink in her presence, avoiding conflict. I tried to practice Kreng Jai, that deep-seated Thai reluctance to impose or cause discomfort. I held my tongue, telling myself it was a generational difference, that I was just an old woman set in her ways. But the worry grew, twisting itself into a thicker cord of anxiety, especially when it came to money. My savings, tucked away in that old silk box, the fruit of decades of patient work, my final measure of independence, my security, started feeling lighter than it should. The first sharp snap came one humid afternoon. The air hung thick and still, carrying the fragrant aroma of the Genkel One, green curry, I was simmering for dinner. Mali and Chachai were playing nearby, their hunger already rumbling. Suddenly Pim stormed into the kitchen area, her perfectly made-up face contorted in a frown. "Yai Som! Seriously? That smell!" she exclaimed, waving a hand dramatically in front of her nose. "It's getting everywhere. I'm about to go live, and my viewers will think I live in some village food stall. Can't you just order something or cook something, plain?" Her words struck me, sharp and unexpected. This food, the food of our people, the food I cooked with love for her children, her husband, an embarrassment? Pim, I began softly, my voice barely a whisper. The children are hungry. Arun will be home soon. This is interfering with my brand. She cut me off, tapping furiously on her phone. My image is important. Just be more considerate, okay? She turned and swept back towards her room, the one space in the house kept meticulously clean and artfully arranged for her online backdrop, leaving me standing by the bubbling pot, the fragrant steam suddenly feeling like smoke in my lungs. I looked down at the curry, the vibrant green chilies and creamy coconut milk suddenly seeming dull. Mully tugged at my fasin. Yai? Is Mama angry? I forced a smile, stroking her hair. No, little one. Mama is just busy. Come, let's get the rice ready. But inside, a thread had broken. The pattern of tolerance of Kreng Gel felt irrevocably damaged. This wasn't just a generational gap. It was a chasm, wide and deep, filled with a disregard that chilled me more than any draft. That night, the click-clack of my loom sounded less like creation and more like a lament. The threads felt heavy in my hands, tangled with a sorrow I couldn't yet name, but felt settling deep within my bones. The vibrant silk seemed to mock the growing drabness in my heart. The weeks that followed saw Pim's self-absorption deepen. Deliveries arrived almost daily. New clothes, makeup palettes, little gadgets meant to enhance her online persona. She spent hours locked in her room, emerging only for carefully staged photo opportunities or brief, distracted interactions with the children. More and more, it was me bathing Mali and Chachai, helping them with their simple school lessons, telling them stories as they drifted off to sleep. Arun seemed to notice, his brow furrowed with worry when he came home late, but he rarely spoke of it. Perhaps he felt trapped, unwilling to upset the fragile peace, or perhaps Pim's justifications, that this was an investment in their future, that soon she'd be earning real money, held sway over him. Then came the requests for money, small amounts at first. Yai Som, I just need a little for phone credit for the live stream. Yai, can I borrow some baht? There's this online course on engagement. It always came with a bright, brittle smile, an explanation tied to her burgeoning career. I felt pressured, cornered by Krengjai, and a lingering hope that maybe, just maybe, she was trying. I gave her what little I could spare from my weaving sales, trying not to think about my own dwindling reserves. One afternoon, needing to buy a specific shade of indigo thread I couldn't find locally, I reached for my old silk box hidden beneath a loose floorboard near my loom. It felt lighter, alarmingly lighter. My heart began to beat a frantic rhythm against my ribs. With trembling hands, I lifted the lid. Stacks of carefully folded baht notes were gone. Not just a few, but a significant portion. Months, perhaps years of painstaking work, vanished. The cold dread I'd felt earlier bloomed into icy certainty. There was only one person who knew I kept money there, only one person with the audacity, the sheer lack of conscience. I waited until Arun was home, until the children were asleep. Pim was, predictably, in her room, phone glowing. My hands shook as I approached her door. Taking a deep breath, I knocked softly. Pim, can I talk to you for a moment? She opened the door a crack, annoyance clear on her face. What is it, Yai? I'm busy editing. The money, Pim, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. The money I keep in the silk box. Much of it is gone. Her eyes widened slightly, then narrowed. Money? What money? Yeah, you must be mistaken. Maybe you spent it and forgot. You know how your memory is sometimes. The accusation, the casual cruelty of it, stole my breath. I did not forget, Pim. I know how much was there. It's gone. And I saw the new phone you bought, the expensive makeup. Her face hardened. The brittle charm vanished, replaced by sharp defensiveness. Are you accusing me? How dare you? We're family. What's yours is ours, isn't it? Maybe Arun needed it. Did you ask him? She glanced towards the main room where Arun sat, pointedly looking away, pretending to read a newspaper. His silence was a heavy weight, crushing the last of my hope that he would intervene. Arun? I pleaded, turning towards him. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Pim scoffed. See? Stop making trouble, Yai. You're just being stingy. It's probably not even that much money anyway, for all your fuss. She started to close the door. It was my life savings, I whispered, the words catching in my throat. My dignity. She paused, then shrugged dismissively. Well, maybe you shouldn't hide things if you don't want them used. Now, if you'll excuse me. The door clicked shut. leaving me standing in the dimly lit hallway, the silence broken only by the chirping of cicadas outside and the frantic pounding of my own betrayed heart. Arun still hadn't looked up. The feeling of violation was profound, a physical ache deep inside. It wasn't just the money, it was the utter lack of respect, the calculated deception, the shattering of trust. That night, sleep refused to come. The loom sat silent, its threads dark and still. Pim's trips to Bangkok became more frequent, her excuses flimsier. She spoke vaguely of collaborations and meetings with potential sponsors. Her online posts showed her posing in trendy cafes, visiting gleaming shopping malls, always alone, always projecting an image of glamorous independence that felt utterly alien to the reality of our shared home. A new suspicion began to weave itself into the fabric of my grief, a darker thread, one I almost couldn't bear to examine. One sweltering morning, Pim announced she was going into the city for the whole day, a very important content creation opportunity. She dressed with extra care, her usual trendy clothes replaced by something sleeker, more expensive looking. As she left, tossing a careless, "Don't wait up" over her shoulder, a sudden impulse seized me. I needed thread, yes, but more than that, I needed truth. The uncertainty was a corrosive acid eating away at my peace. Asking my kind neighbour Padang to keep an eye on the children playing in the yard, I took the worn baht notes I had left and made my way to the nearby pier. The Klong boat sputtered to life, carrying me along the murky canal towards the heart of the city. Bangkok assaulted my senses. The roar of traffic, the pungent mix of street food and exhaust fumes, the sheer press of humanity. It felt a world away from the quiet rhythms of my home. I bought my threads quickly, the familiar textures a small comfort in the overwhelming city. Then, acting on that nagging intuition, I took a bus towards the area Pim sometimes tagged in her photos, a district known for its fashionable boutiques and cafes. I walked slowly, feeling out of place in my simple fasin amidst the city's modern hustle. And then I saw her. Pim was sitting at an outdoor table at a chic, glass-fronted cafe. She wasn't alone. Across from her sat a man, slickly dressed, leaning towards her, his hand covering hers on the table. They were laughing, their heads close together, an easy intimacy radiating between them that Arun had never shared with her, not even in their early days. My breath caught. I ducked behind a large potted plant, my heart hammering. This wasn't a collaboration. This wasn't business. I watched, hidden, as they finished their drinks. He paid, then stood up, offering her his arm. She took it, smiling up at him with an unguarded warmth I had never seen her direct at Arun or her children. They strolled down the street, window shopping, his arm now casually draped around her shoulders. My legs felt weak. I forced myself to follow at a distance. They turned a corner and disappeared into the sleek, impersonal entrance of a modern hotel. The world tilted. The noise of Bangkok faded to a dull roar in my ears. This betrayal cut deeper than the stolen money, slicing through the remaining threads of familial obligation, of hope for reconciliation. Pulling out my old simple mobile phone, a stark contrast to Pim's latest model, I raised it with trembling hands. I didn't know much about technology, but I knew how to take a picture, how to record a short video. Aiming through the hotel's glass doors, I captured the image. Pim and the stranger, standing close at the reception desk, his face clear, her hand possessively on his arm. Proof. Heavy, ugly proof. The boat ride home was a blur. The familiar sights of the Klong, the waterside houses, the vendors paddling their wares, the children waving from the banks, seemed distant, unreal. Back in the quiet space beneath my house, the loom waited, silent sentinel. I sat beside it, the phone heavy in my lap, the image burned into my mind. I thought of Arun, his tired face, his avoidance. I thought of Mali and Chachai, their innocent trust. The Krengjai that had kept me silent for so long felt like a shroud I had to cast off. I couldn't protect Pim anymore. I had to protect my grandson, my great-grandchildren, and what little remained of my own dignity. Later that day, Padang stopped by, bringing a small plate of sweet, sticky rice. Calm. Her warm, wrinkled face was full of unspoken understanding. "You look tired today, Yaisom," she said gently. I nodded, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. "Life weaves difficult patterns sometimes," she murmured, placing a comforting hand on my arm. "But the strong threads hold. Remember your strength, Jaisu." Her quiet words, her simple presence fortified me. Jaisu, heart-fighting spirit. Yes, I still had that. That night I waited. I sat in the main room, the phone tucked securely in the pocket of my fuss-in. The air was thick with unspoken tension. The children were asleep. The only sound was the whirring of the fan overhead. Aaron came home, exhaustion clinging to him like the city grime. He slumped onto the floor mat, sighing heavily. "Long day, Yai," he mumbled. "Aaron," I said, my voice quiet but firm, "we need to talk about Pim." He stiffened, looking up warily. "What about her?" I didn't waste words. I took out the phone, my hand surprisingly steady now, and showed him the picture, the short video clip. I explained about the money, connecting the dates of its disappearance with Pim's unexplained purchases, her trips to the city. His face went pale, then flushed crimson, then drained of all colour. He stared at the small screen, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Disbelief warred with a dawning, horrifying recognition. "No, Yai, this must be some mistake." "It's no mistake, Arun," I said gently but firmly. "I saw them with my own eyes. The lies. This." He buried his face in his hands, his shoulders shaking. How could she? How could I have been so blind? Guilt and pain washed over him, raw and overwhelming. He looked up at me, his eyes filled with tears. "Yai, I'm so sorry. I should have listened. I should have seen." Just then, the front door opened. Pim swept in, humming, carrying several shopping bags from a trendy Bangkok store. She struck a pose, showing off a new dress. "Look what I got. Amazing deal, right? My followers are going to love this haul." She stopped short, sensing the atmosphere. Her eyes darted between my grim face and Arun's devastated one. "What's wrong? Why are you two looking like someone died?" Arun slowly got to his feet, trembling with a mixture of fury and heartbreak. He held up my phone, the image of her and the stranger starkly visible. "Explain this, Pim. Explain all of it." Pim's eyes flickered towards the screen. For a split second I saw panic, but it vanished almost instantly, replaced by defiance. She tossed her hair back, her voice dripping with scorn. "Oh, that? So you've been spying on me now, Yai? Really? How pathetic." "Pathetic." Arun choked out the word. "You steal from my grandmother, you lie to me, you neglect our children, and this, you call us pathetic." Pim dropped the shopping bags, her face twisting into an ugly sneer. The mask was off completely. "Steal? It's just money. You're both obsessed with it. And yes, I have someone else. Someone who appreciates me, who understands my ambitions, not like you two stuck in this backward village life." She gestured dismissively around our simple home. "I deserve better than this. Better than you." "The children, Pim," Aaron cried out, his voice cracking. "What about Mali and Chachai?" "What about them?" she retorted coldly. "You and Yai seem to manage just fine. They're better off without me holding them back. I have a life to live, a career to build." Without another word, she marched into her room. We heard drawers banging, cupboards opening and closing. Aaron stood frozen, tears streaming down his face. I went to him, putting my arm around his shaking shoulders. There was nothing left to say. Minutes later, Pim emerged, dragging a stylish suitcase, her handbag slung over her shoulder. She didn't look at the children's closed bedroom door. She didn't look at Aaron's heartbroken face. Her eyes met mine for a fleeting second, hard and unrepentant. "Don't try to find me," she snapped. Then she pulled open the door and stepped out into the night. The slam of the door echoed in the sudden, profound silence. It was the sound of a final thread breaking, severing the ties that had bound us, however imperfectly. Aaron collapsed onto the mat, sobbing. The house felt hollow, violated. I held my grandson, murmuring words of comfort. I wasn't sure I felt myself, the weight of the future suddenly immense. The pattern of our lives had been torn apart. The days immediately following Pim's departure were shrouded in a heavy silence, punctuated only by the children's confused questions. "Where's Mama? When is Mama coming back?" And Arun's quiet grief. I answered Mali and Chachai as gently as I could, telling them Mama had gone on a long trip, focusing instead on maintaining their routines, surrounding them with as much love and stability as possible. Arun, after the initial shock, began to emerge from his despair. Guilt gnawed at him, but it also fueled a new determination. He started spending more time at home when he wasn't working, truly seeing his children, engaging with them in a way he hadn't before. He helped me with chores, listened to my stories about his own childhood, and slowly, painstakingly, we began to weave a new family pattern, thread by thread. He apologized to me countless times for his blindness, for his passivity. "I should have protected you, Yai," he'd say, his voice thick with remorse. "We protect each other now, Arun," I would reply, placing a hand on his arm. "We look forward, not back." Our bond, strained for so long, grew stronger, forged in the shared crucible of betrayal and forgiveness. Padang became a regular visitor, bringing food, sharing quiet conversation, her steady presence a balm to our wounded spirits. The community, sensing the shift, offered subtle support, a shared smile, an extra portion of fruit at the market, unspoken gestures of solidarity that meant the world. Months passed. The rainy season came and went, washing the dust from the leaves, bringing a lush greenness back to the land. Laughter returned to our house, tentative at first, then growing more confident. Mali started showing an interest in the loom, her small fingers tracing the colourful threads. I began teaching her simple patterns, her focused expression a mirror of my own younger self. Then one evening Arun came to me with news. He had been offered a better job, a promotion, but it was in Chiang Mai, far to the north. It meant stability, a better future for the children, but it also meant leaving our home, leaving me. My heart clenched, but I saw the hope in his eyes, the chance for a fresh start. "You must go, Arun," I said, forcing a smile. "It's a wonderful opportunity. The children will love the mountains." "But Yai, what about you?" His face was etched with concern. "Come with us. We need you." I shook my head gently, touching his cheek. "My roots are here, Arun. This house, this loom, they are part of me. I will be all right." My voice trembled slightly. "But you must promise to call often and bring Mali and Chachai to visit their old Yai whenever you can." He promised, his eyes wet. The farewell was tearful. Mali and Chachai clung to me, not fully understanding why they had to leave their Yai. I held them close, breathing in their sweet scent, whispering reassurances, my own tears hidden behind a brave smile. Watching their truck pull away, leaving a cloud of dust hanging in the quiet lane, felt like another thread snapping, but this one held the bittersweet ache of love, not betrayal. The house felt vast and silent afterwards. The echo of children's laughter lingered like a phantom limb. For a few days a profound loneliness settled over me, but then, slowly, inevitably, I found my way back to the loom. I sat beneath the house, the familiar wood smooth beneath my hands. Padang visited daily, her companionship a quiet anchor. I started weaving again, not out of necessity now, but out of choice. The click-clack began its steady rhythm once more,